Hey guys, CNN has finally gotten its hands on the text messages, the infamous text messages between Mark Meadows and all these various Trump hangers-on from election day up through inauguration day. And I got to tell you right away, there is a cave somewhere. There are probably like a half dozen caves somewhere that need their batshit back because this is insane. This is like reading this, you feel like you're kind of reading like the Unabomber's manifesto or like writing on the walls of a sanitarium. I mean, it is nuts. And that these people were ever in charge of our country and that they ever could be in charge again, they have a good shot. Be concerned. So these text messages are between Sean Hannity, news personality, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Jewish lasers, Ivanka Trump, and I wouldn't even bother making fun of her, and others sent to Mark Meadows. And again, I've never seen some of the insanity here. So let's just go to some of the more interesting ones. I mean, you've got one from Hannity asking Meadows what needs to be done in North Carolina, how he can manipulate enough people to vote for them on election day through garbage he says and lies, blah, blah, blah. That's just regular right-wing crap. But here's a good one from Matt Schlapp, and I'm going to tell you why it's interesting. Matt Schlapp is now the head of the American Conservative Union. On November 4th, 2020, he says, election, of course, he says, please get 4 or 5 killers, that's his words, killers, in remaining counts. Need outsiders who will torch the place. Local folks won't do it. Lawyers and operators get us in these states worried that Ronna, that's Ronna McDaniel, Romney, which she won't call herself anymore because Trump doesn't like it, not in Michigan. Let me read that again. Please get 4 or 5 killers in remaining counts. Need outsiders who will torch the place. And the reason why, in and of itself, it sounds like the man's willing to commit all sorts of crimes so that Donald Trump wins. Matt Schlapp, you will infamously see in a picture, if you look back, from the day of the Brooks Brothers riot in Florida. And for those of you who don't know, that was in the year 2000 when George W. Bush was was up by 500 votes in Florida, but if there had been a full count of Florida, would likely have lost, but they wanted to shut down recounts in Democratic counties, and one of them was Duval County. So a bunch of nicely dressed Republican operatives and Republican staffers showed up, and one of them, quite clearly in the middle, if you look, is a young, just as goofy Matt Schlapp. The man has been committing evil acts for a long time. He knows of what he speaks. They shut down the count in Duval County, the Supreme Court shut down the rest, and George W. Bush became president. Remember, he used the words killers and he used the words torch the place. Alrighty then. We go on. There's some other boring stuff about how Trump received more of the vote. He should win. But then you get Andy Biggs, who is one of the ones who, it seems at this point, a co-conspirator congressman from Arizona who helped plan January 6th, co-conspirator in terms of trying to help them win the election. Here's his part of the deal. To Mark Meadows, here's what he said. Quote, I'm sure you have heard of this proposal. It is to encourage state legislatures to appoint locked doors in various states where there have been shenanigans. Locked doors. They're going to lock people in. If I understand right, most of these states have Republican legislatures. It seems to be comport with the Constitution. Yes, stealing an election does. It may be highly controversial, but it can't be much more controversial than the lunacy that we're seeing out there right now. It would be pretty difficult. It would take governors and legislators with collective will and backbones to do it, right? So what he's saying is collective will of governors and legislators in states like Michigan, Pennsylvania, Arizona that are Republican who are willing to steal the election from them. That's what he wants. He seems to actually believe this, which again makes me say some of these guys seem like they're right out of a sanitarium. Maybe he should get mental help of some sort and not be actually serving in high office. What else do we have here? We've got Ginny Thomas. Oh, she was in touch with Mark Meadows. And she just complains a bit about Sidney Powell. Who cares? That's not so interesting. Bernard Carrick. Okay. So you may know Bernie Carrick from having been the former police commissioner put there by Rudy Giuliani in New York just because he started off as Rudy Giuliani's driver. He had no qualifications to be police chief. Rudy made him police chief because of his loyalty sound familiar? He eventually ended up going to prison because as a police officer, he took payoffs. He used it's around 9/11, he used the apartment that was set aside for exhausted 9/11 workers to carry on some lurid affair. There was tax evasion issues. I think there was wire fraud. And I mean, the man went to jail for all sorts of things. He's a bad dude. Sir, so here's what he said to Mark Meadows on December 1st. Sir, we are airborne on the way to Michigan and Arizona. We're going to need a hotel for the team and 2 vehicles to pick us up. And happy to walk the AG through the evidence. It is overwhelming. There was no evidence. 60 different courts looked at this. At this point, 60 different investigations. Nobody has found there to have been any fraud. In fact, the former cybersecurity chief of the elections under Trump said this was the safest election ever. Again, bonkers kind of stuff we're looking at here. Anything else? Kelly Ward, you may know, lunatic from Arizona, party chair there. They've taken over. She also brings up election fraud. Okay, Mike Lindell. Mike Lindell, everybody. Mike Lindell, MyPillow, the MyPillow freak. You are the only people the president trusts. That being said, he's talking to Meadows. I want to add my input. Everything Sidney has said is true. We have to get the machines, and everything we already have proves the president won by millions of votes. I have read and not validated yet that you and others talked to him about seizing them. They were going to seize the voting machines. You know, really democratic stuff. I pray it is part of a bigger plan. I am grateful in the night of the election, the algorithms of the corrupt machines broke, and they realized our president would win in spite of the historical fraud. I mean, I could go on again. This really is the Unabomber's manifesto. Like, this is insanity. Talks about General Flynn. You may remember General Flynn, who was going to rendition someone out of the country for the Turkish fascist government, and who ended up being convicted. And Trump, he was illegally. He was talking to Russia about what our plans were after Trump took over, and undermining Obama. I mean, Flynn is a traitor at this point, who is just a conspiracy sharing nut. So he's in here too. And then the MyPillow guy. The only thing that should give us fear is fear of the Lord. Every person on the planet needs to know the truth and see the evidence, blah, blah, blah. He's crazy too. Mo Brooks, who since has been unendorsed running for Congress because he wouldn't keep supporting Trump's fraud. He had enough. Mo Brooks here. Media is contacting my office about this afternoon's White House meeting. The message should be, progress is being made. We are joining the fight. We cannot allow voter and election fraud to occur if we are going to be a republic. He wanted to undermine and overthrow the republic. Honestly, guys, I could keep reading. It goes on. It goes on like some sort of a novel. It's insanity. These are all people in positions of power in our government, elected officials, appointed officials. Again, Mo Brooks and Mark Meadows and Ivanka Trump and Sean Hannity and Michael Flynn. They're insane, and that is your Republican Party.